And the doyenne of royal journalists and authors, Angela Levin, joins me live now. She is, of course, the biographer of Prince Harry and Queen Camilla. And Angela, breaking news, it's all going wrong for the Sussexes. Their chief of staff, Josh Kettler, out of a job after just 3 months. What is it about these two that means no one either wants to or is able to work with them?
Yes, things that they're doing are crumbling in front of your eyes. But
Yeah.
let's talk about Josh. He was employed as chief of staff, and he had a very good comment about him that he was used to working with demanding bosses in high performance companies. So you would imagine, yes, let's grab him. He's just right for Meghan. And it turns out that he's there mainly for Harry to help him find new paths. But it's been obviously not a good idea. The magazine people in America actually said that it was mutual. And it wasn't just him and it wasn't just them. They decided it wasn't suitable. But I tend not to believe that, really, because it's just before the two of them go to Colombia. This is a very, very dangerous place. And he was there for the 10th Invictus Games. He was with Harry in the St. Paul's Cathedral, and he was there in Nigeria trying to look after him, not in a husband, not in a father-son way, but just to make sure that everything went as smoothly as it could be. And to lose your chief of staff is very, very difficult. You must have to grab somebody who will want to help you. They're only going for 4 days, but they're 4 dangerous days, and they need someone else. But he's off. He could obviously wait just for that. And I
It's
think that says
mad.
it all, because you would say, look, I don't think I'm right for this. And they said, no, I don't think you are either. Well, why don't you come with us to Colombia?
Yeah,
And
let's
then
see
yeah,
you
that's
through
it.
the trip.
It's very unusual for somebody who seems as solid as Josh, that you don't wait for actually a big deal.
Well, that's the thing. He's an experienced guy. He had a good track record.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, if you're blaming anyone, Angela, you've got to look at the people who seem to fall out with whoever they work with. It's extraordinary. And the other problem that we've got, Angela, is they lie when they're trying to spin to their fond magazines like People or Newsweek, who are very supine and report exactly what they want to, because they're now trying to say, Angela, that they only hired this guy for a trial period. That's
Yeah,
rubbish. We all saw the press release with you trumpeting him as the next best thing. Yet again, you have proven impossible to work with, and no one wants to stay.
he's 18th or 19th person who has
Whoa.
resigned or gone since they left being working royals. Now, that is colossal, isn't it? Because the one thing that the royals need, or even if they're not royals, that people like them need who haven't got experience, especially Meghan, you need to know how to behave, what to do. You need advice. It's very, very important. And any royal visit abroad is attended by a great deal of attention, that it's safe, that the people that they're going to see are honourable, and it's all done very, very carefully. And this is an absolute disaster. But obviously, there's something there that people don't like. I mean, I know we're going to talk about this later, but Meghan can't find chefs. And the reason she can't find chefs, I was told, was that she wants top chefs, sounds very nice, but she interferes with them all the time. Now, if a top chef does his work. He actually doesn't want someone
No.
coming in and saying, well, can you do this? Can you cut that a bit slimmer? It actually will annoy them. And these are the sort of people who don't need a job. They can get a job one, two, three. So it looks very down headed for them, and there's nothing they seem to do about it. I think they don't realize. I think they're so grand now, far more than Harry was grand when he was actually a working royal. And it's difficult for them to try to be normal people and talk to people normally. I mean, I've been in Buckingham Palace and all sorts of palaces and talked to the royals a lot, and they treat their staff almost like family, very polite to them, very nice to them. If they've got problems, they try and help out. They expect hard work, but that's all right. But they care about them, and people are there for decades. I mean, Camilla had two aides. One was there for 23 years, and one was there for 20 years. And they both retired. So it wasn't they wanted to go. It just means you need somebody who will stay with you and understand you and help you.
Well, both the Queen, the late Queen, and the late Queen Mother, of course, they had aides as well who stayed with
Yes.
them for decades and decades. And Angela, there's a really key point when you think about this, because do you remember when Harry and Meghan were in the royal family? It was all because the institution was against them. Their staff were working against them. But there was a real track record of it always being someone else's fault. So do you remember they went through 3 nannies in 6 weeks? That's not normal. But of course, it was the nannies who were doing a terrible job and they weren't properly looking after Archie. Then you had the PA, and this was a PA who had worked for Robbie Williams. So big celebrities who have their own diva demands, but no, she was crying all the time because Meghan's demands were so terrible. But of course, that was her fault as well, Angela. She was incompetent, according to Meghan. Then you even had Samantha Cohen, who
Yes.
had worked for the
Yes.
late Queen for years and years and years. So experienced. She couldn't cope with them either. Sarah Latham, who had worked for big, difficult politicians like Hillary Clinton. She wasn't good enough. So actually, it wasn't about the royal family, was it? Because exactly the same thing that happened in the UK in terms of this monumentally high turnover of staff has now been directly repeated in Hollywood.
Yes, it's very interesting, isn't it? I think, Meghan doesn't understand what it's all about because she wasn't there long enough. But on the other hand, she thinks she's very glorious and wonderful, and nobody can come near her in what she knows and what she can do. And so it's very difficult. It's going to be, it's not relaxed, you know. And you see as well that when she was at the palace, she said she didn't want anybody to call her by, the Duchess. She thought it was awful. Wasn't necessarily at all. And now she insists on everybody doing that. So
Yes.
the less she's seen, the less she's being royal, the more she wants to be talked to in a very regal way.
So weird, isn't it? That is just so weird. But Angela, I don't think we can completely pin this one on Meghan. I mean, look, we know she's very difficult, but Harry has become increasingly miserable, increasingly impossible to please, and it's very difficult for his staff members too. I mean, I was looking through a lot of the pictures of Josh Kettler alongside Harry in Nigeria, and in every single image, Angela, Harry had a face like thunder.
Yeah, I think I haven't seen him with a face that isn't thunder. Going through lots of things, when he was setting up the Parents Network, which we're going to talk about soon. Wherever he goes, if he comes over to the UK, he's very, very moody. I think he's in a very bad state, and he's in my view, he's between a wooden
Rock in a
floor.
hard place, yeah.
Yeah, that's it. A rock in the heart and a hard place, and he just can't work out how to get out of it or how to change it. Let's put it that way. I feel very sorry for him, but I'm also very cross with the way he behaves. So it's a very tricky one. And I suppose that Mr. Kettler just thought, this is too much for me. Lots of shouting, screaming. People aren't satisfied. People don't say, "Oh, thank you, keep you up all night." There's a way that people will work endlessly for the people they like, and others who feel that they're not being treated properly. And this is a great example of that.
There's a famous Taylor Swift song at the moment, Angela, and the lyrics are, "It's me, I'm the problem, it's me." Surely Harry and Meghan need a little dose of that. They need a reality check. This is about you. It's not about the people working for you. Look, some of them might not have been great, but when you're literally talking about every single senior person who comes into your orbit cannot work with you, there has to be some sort of self-reflection, doesn't there?
Yes, of course it does. The thing that is very sad is that Meghan is becoming known to being very negative and destroying things. We've seen it with Harry's family that she's not going to ever come to the UK, but she said she is. She just makes things very difficult. A poor father who is now 80, she won't have anything to do with him. She didn't have anyone else at the wedding apart from her mother on her side. And if she doesn't want a friend, she just drops them. She never thinks about them again. So she has moments of being funny and clever and all that, but actually it's very difficult for her not to turn negative. And I wonder why that is, whether, it's in the family, whether it's upbringing, whether it's just her. But I think it's something very powerful there that destroys what could have been a very good, helpful, wonderful royal.
But I've only promised to talk to you about products on this show that are actually life-changing. This one's a little bit more personal, but the fellas watching are going to completely get it. And the ladies, well, you would do well to treat your husband or boyfriend, because I can promise you from personal experience, this is a game changer. So men want a grooming routine that is one and done. The days of using the same trimmer for your face and your nether regions are over, all thanks to our friends at Manscaped. They've come up with the ultimate package to keep your hairs trimmed from 12 to 6. So introducing the Beard and Balls bundle, which features the Lawnmower 5.0 and the Beard Hedger. And I'm not talking about this sort of lawnmower, but don't worry, the product provides precision trimming for all areas, even the sensitive ones, and will get you as manicured as freshly cut grass. So I'm talking about a trimmer for the moneymaker, another for the boys downstairs, and it gets it right the first time while being gentle on the skin in all of your delicate places. With 2 interchangeable skin-safe blade heads, you can choose between a precise trim or a smooth finish. And did I mention it's waterproof, so you can chim in the shower and avoid making a mess everywhere. Perfect for those of us who appreciate efficiency. Now let me tell you about the Beard Hedger. Whether you're going for a neat stubble or a full-on lumberjack look, this trimmer has you covered. Featuring a titanium-coated stainless steel T-blade and 20 length options, you can achieve any style you want with just a twist of the zoom wheel. And just like the lawnmower, the Beard Hedger is also waterproof, so you can handle your beard grooming right in the sink or shower without worrying about water damage. With up to 60 minutes of runtime and an LED charge indicator, you'll never be caught mid-trim with a dead battery. This is genuinely, take my words for this, such a gentle product. No more cuts. You'll keep your loved one very happy. And also, it will increase your confidence too. The best news is today, huge deal, 20% off and free shipping. You just have to use the code Outspoken at manscaped.com. Sorry, let me repeat that. www.manscaped.com. I'm actually going to put the link in the YouTube description and also the Rumble description, so you can just head there and actually click directly on it right now. But 20% off, free shipping with the code Outspoken at manscaped.com. No more juggling multiple tools or dealing with subpar results, just efficient, effective grooming wherever you need it for the premium grooming experience. Trust Manscaped. Yeah, and I think that's a really good point, but I definitely don't think it's the Markle side of the family, because that's the side of the family that I've got to know. And actually, yes, if you look at them, Angela, they are positive people. They're go-getters. They are actually really people. Thomas Markle Jr., Thomas himself, Samantha. So maybe it comes from the Doria side of the family, the Raglan side of the family, but certainly I don't think that negativity comes from the Markles, even though obviously she gives the Markles a bad name these days. Angela, you reported last week, and of course, it's gone all around the world here on Outspoken just how unhappy Meghan in particular was after that CBS interview launching the Parents Network. Do you think that Josh Kettler's departure could be coinciding with that? Because it was such a bad launch. No one was talking about the Parents Network. Everyone was just talking about this awkward interview. Do you think that could have been the final straw?
Well, it's hard to know, isn't it? Because we don't know when he actually said, I'm not
I'm out.
coming. And you could be set at the last minute. But I think that Meghan was furious that in the interview, it was brought up about her decision. She wanted to kill herself. And you could see she was absolutely furious. You could also see that she was absolutely furious when Harry spoke about what he thought a parent should do, which was rather odd. And I think that's really upset her. The interesting thing is, I always thought with Harry, he always showed you what he felt on his face, and he still does. You can see whether he's happy or whether he's sad. Sadly, it's mainly sad. But on the other hand, Meghan often had this smile and looked, as if she was a very successful star and smiling and looking nice. But now, when something happens, she immediately changes and her face looks terrified. She looks very, very angry, and you could see it all there in her stomach that she's furious. How dare they do this to her? And I think that that's quite interesting because it's obviously done in public, and we can all get cross in public, but you don't do that. You try not to anyway till you get home, and then you can say, "Oh, so angry."
Yeah, but she can't even hide it anymore. You're right. And we saw that, didn't we, when she came back for the late Queen's funeral and there was that very awkward walkabout outside of Windsor Castle alongside William and Catherine. And there was a moment when a aide tried to take some flowers off her, and he seemed like a very nice young man who was trying to help her out, and she snapped at him. And I thought, my goodness, if you're snapping at someone like that, when you know that you're in the glare of the world's media with hundreds and hundreds of cameras on you, then imagine what you're like behind closed doors at your Montecito mansion. It ain't going to be pretty, is it?
That's the interesting thing, that she is an actress, so she ought to be able
To turn
to
it on.
change her expressions to what she wants. She shouldn't be overwhelmed by them. I think that's quite strange. But on that day, you could see she was furious. And then when they walked round, the four of them, they were looking at the flowers and things left on the road, and she was turning left and right because Catherine wasn't giving her any attention. And you can see she was so bitter, she was so angry. And you want to say, calm down, Meghan, don't show it.
Yeah,
Be
exactly. Be a
dignified.
better actress. Be a better actress.
Be a better actress and be dignified. I mean,
Yeah.
everybody knew that she was furious with them, but she had kept them waiting over an hour actually before they went out for their walk. So when they wanted to go and see all these flowers and comments and letters, so I'm sure they would be quite angry. But
Of course.
um, that's beside the point. She couldn't hold it in.
Angela, can we talk about the Colombian tour? Because even though there's no chief of staff, Harry and Meghan are still going at the invitation of the country's vice president. They arrive, we believe, on Thursday. They're going to be staying at one point in the Sofitel Hotel, which looks quite glamorous, but slightly odd that we know where they're going to be, given all of the security concerns. What are you hearing about this tour, Angela, and what are you expecting to come from it?
Well, let me just start by saying, they keep on saying they want to see the king and how awful it is. You would speak to them all that. But if you really wanted to prove, make him happy, and if you really wanted to get closer to William, you wouldn't go on this sort of phony royal tour because they're not royals and they can't have any make any deals. They can't make any organizations or discuss anything because they don't have that privilege. But it does hurt the royal family because whatever they do, and they did some dreadful things in Nigeria where they were in May, is it's actually very bad for the royal family because some people aren't going to say, well, they're not actually royal, but they're sort of royal. They don't know where they are. So I thought, they shouldn't have gone. The other thing, talking about Parents Network and saying, oh, their children are so wonderful, so lovely. Why are they leaving them all the time to go, and specifically this place, going to one of the most dangerous countries in the world? If they really cared, why are they going? What are they going to do there? Why are they there? It's just extraordinary. So what I expect is that Meghan would have a whole load of expensive dresses. She'll be smiling and very nice. They speak Spanish there, and she's allegedly a very good speaker of Spanish. And for me, I think we'll see more of Harry with a miserable face because he won't know what on earth's being said or done, and he will be left behind. I can't imagine her telling him, saying, let me just tell Harry this, let me just tell Harry this. This is not happening, is it? But speaking in the language there is a very good way of being friendly. So the idea is that they look at people, children, teenagers, adults, all sorts of ages and all sorts of types. And the idea, which people say, is that they want to improve their brand. And in Colombia, they want to improve their brand. It's a Labour party that's running the country, and it's going down the drain because it's being so hopeless. And there's been a lot of fighting and murdering and stealing and all these things. So they think that if they get two glamorous people, it will sort of boost them up. So I think that's the idea of it, that they're both going to take something out of it, but it's not a good place to be, and it's a pointless place to be. What are they doing? The other thing is, though, that I think Meghan will want to do this to show that she could be a much better royal than the royals in the UK. I mean, she's yearned for this so much. She wants them to know that she's a sort of global guru, and this will, help anybody, and she can handle anything, but she can't. And the vice president, who is taking them round in her own helicopter, is also black, the first black who is a vice president, and she's delighted that Meghan would be there. She thinks it's absolutely wonderful, and they can talk very familiarly, during the time. But when they go off to certain areas, it's going to be really, really dangerous. So they're going to have a load of people supporting them and looking after them.
Paid for by Colombian taxpayers, by
exactly
the way.
Paid for by the taxpayer.
Who might not be that happy about their money being spent in a poverty-stricken company on Harry and Meghan's security. The other thing is, Angela, you talk about the government going downhill, and there's been loads of scandals involving this Colombian government, including with the president. So isn't there the risk that Harry and Meghan are just being used as political pawns here, and they've made themselves vulnerable as a result?
Yeah, absolutely. That's what I meant, really. You've expressed it very well. Thank you. Just that they will be used so that when they go there and they show photographs of them around the world, they will think, everyone will think that we're fine and it's safe and we're wonderful because look who we've got here. I think it's going to be a very, very difficult meeting, particularly as they won't have a chief of staff there.
I know. Because he has been dispensed of. You can just imagine them, couldn't you, in medieval times, them just locking all of these former staff members who don't appease their every whim in the tower. Thank you so much for watching Dan Wootton Outspoken. Please do subscribe if you want lots more clips and interviews like that. Plus, if you want to watch our totally uncensored after show, then visit www.outspoken.live.